Hello there, Vic Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2 on Titan difficulty. This is my no upgrade run plus. We are now on the main event, Installment the 15th, the Loom Chamber, guys. Not many things that I've ever done in video games are as stressful as the Loom Chamber. And I'd like to think that I've gotten quite a bit better since I did this back in 2012, because I was just watching that actually, and the play that I had on there, the gameplay is really sloppy, so hopefully this will help you out much more than my previous walkthrough. So on this particular wave, which is probably the hardest wave, you've got Cursed Legionnaires here and a pair of Fates Juggernauts. There's going to be a total of 3 Fates Juggernauts, and look at that, I already got the circle button prompt over one of them. That's pretty rare, because these Fates Juggernauts are extremely durable. And what I'm trying to do, and what I've done a little bit, is collision. That's the best way to damage them. It's better than the Barbarian Hammer. I would recommend using the Barbarian Hammer, of course, but the collision is what really gets these guys put down quickly. And putting them down is not a quick matter anyway, so it's just considerably more effective than magic, and even throwing guys at the Juggernauts is not that effective. And then of course we have their charge, which is absolute bullshit, because it completely trips you up and just makes you get hit more than you should, because it staggers you. Sorry about that. But anyway, so what you basically want to do is just do the square triangle O button press repeatedly to try to do collision. And if you guys are hurting on this part, trust me, I've never, not once, got through this part where I haven't been begging for health. And that's one of the issues on the Loom Chamber. I fucking hate that charge that they do. It should be removed. It's such bullshit. So there are about 4 magic chests and only 2 health chests, and that's a big problem, because I don't know about you, but I am always desperate for health. And one of the 2 health chests that they give you is extremely risky to get, and I'm going to be talking about why it's risky, aside from, you know, the hecticness of going up to it and getting it when you've got Cyclops brutes literally falling from the ceiling trying to stop you from getting the chest. But don't let me forget about the door at the end of this chamber over here, because there's some things that you can clip against. So a couple of words for this part, words of wisdom, guys. Barrier abuse. Hiding behind these barriers and doing the L1 plus triangle and the jumping L1 attack. And it's not really abuse, because it's designed in such a way that it wants you to take advantage of the transparent walls that come and go. You should always do the executions on these Fates Juggernauts too, because you get a little bit of health. And this is that's the first of 7 waves completed, and here's where the second wave is. You've got Fate Sentries and more of the Cursed Legionnaires. So all I would recommend on these is go ahead and grab the Fate Sentries, but the safest thing to do here, undeniably, is just to stand still and let the Cursed Legionnaires jump at you and parry, and then knock them all down, and then go for the vulnerable ones. Of course, if there isn't anybody to throw, for instance, one of the waves is just Cursed Legionnaires, you're not going to be able to throw them unless you have the circle button prompt, but feel free to grab the Fate Sentries. So look at my health. Very low on health, so the next health chest that I come across, I'm going to be grabbing it instantly. So it just so happens that this next wave up here, which is a tricky wave, but it's not too hard, it's just tricky. It has a health chest, so what I'm going to do once I kill this guy is I'm going to use the combat roll and speed my way over to this chest, and then activate Rage of the Titan so I won't get interrupted. I don't think I've ever got interrupted on this wave, but it just it gives me a sense of relief, and that's valuable to me anyway. So anyway, when you parry the Gorgon Queens, I press start every time, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm I am maybe a little ashamed of it. It's kind of silly to have to press start because my brain just can't. And you see the trembling in my voice. My brain can't register the QuickTime events for those for some reason. I freeze up and I get completely flustered. So the way to kill these things is to do L1 plus triangle. There's a little pause right there because I think my game was having some issues. So when you stone freeze these enemies, you can't just go up to them and press triangle. You have to press L1 plus triangle, and even then that sometimes won't kill these guys. So how to kill them is contact plus L1 plus triangle. That should do the trick. See, contact plus L1 plus triangle. Of course, with the sirens, you don't need to make contact whatsoever. They can be killed from far away. So all you've got to do is just wait for the Gorgon Queens to either throw those at you or do their traditional stare, and then just smash everybody. And at this point, we've got some pretty good health. This health is going to have to last us until pretty much the end of the fight. Okay, so the next engagement's right here. It's all Cursed Legionnaires, so we can't throw them until we weaken them a little bit. But all I'm going to do here is just pretty much just wait for them to jump at me and attack, and parry with the Golden Fleece. If they gang up on me too much, I'll drop the Rage. So the next part, very important to know when this first Satyr appears, because if you're not aware of his presence, and you will be the first time he staggers you and kills you out of thin air seemingly, I think it's right here. So spawn and then roll to the left. You can actually spawn him and he'll start swinging his weapon and he'll stagger you. So you need to be aware. Just cross the tripwire wherever you believe it to be, like a little bit in front of him, and then fall back. Okay, so this wave is Satyrs and Hades Juggernauts. So bury your abuse. That's all we're going to do here. We're going to wait for openings, and then we're going to double jump and glide past them and use the combat roll to get the hell out of the way. And just put distance in between yourself and these guys, and then use the tried and true method of this attack, which is L1 plus triangle, and jumping. So one of the biggest keys here to staying alive is to just be really careful of that Barbarian Hammer's recovery time. And when you're doing that L1 plus triangle through the barrier, make sure that the barrier isn't about to come up when you're swinging, because stopping to swing and then guarding takes time. Everything in this game takes time. It's not as bad as Ascension's recovery time, but recovery time is one of the big factors here. And you've really got to be... Okay, so see that Hades Juggernaut? He's doing an unblockable. If these guys ever corner you, pretty much guarantee that this guy's going to do an unblockable, because you can guard all the Satyrs moves, but you can't guard that unblockable. And he always does it when you're in a corner and you can't get out. So what I would do, you saw right there what I did. I used... Atlas Quake to give myself iframes. It has more iframes than Kronos' Rage, in my opinion, and that's what I do. When I get ganged up like this, I also drop it. It will not push over the Juggernauts, or excuse me, the Minotaurs, but it will knock over the Satyrs, so that gives you a little bit of breathing room. And then, of course, every time that you trap one on this side of the wall with you, make sure that you just absolutely go to town on them with sparring matches and launching them in square attacks in the air, as well as throws in the air. You've just really got to be conscious. Believe me, the last time I did this, I didn't even know there was a combat roll in this game, guys. So that's how far I've come as a player, as far as my knowledge level. But I always got killed to the Cyclopses over here that drop in. So many times, at least like 10 fucking times, getting killed to the Cyclopses. I also would get killed here quite a bit, getting staggered by the Satyrs, so you've really got to be careful. And these barriers don't last too long either. So they come and go really frequently. You always want to do the QuickTime events on the Hades Minotaurs for health. Yeah, that may have been a little risky. I think the wall was down though, or excuse me, it was up when I did the sparring match with him. Now, is it safer to jump and glide over them or to roll past them? It varies depending on situation, but in my opinion, it's safer generally speaking, to just double jump over them and glide over them. Okay, so we got a little health and a little magic back. I forgot to say that it does give you some magic. And now we've got, looks like 2 and 2. So that's so the amount of health we have is pretty damn good. With such low life though, it becomes a big problem when enemies are staggering you and you can't get out of attacks. And you know, health preservation is one of the keys to this whole sequence here outside of the Loom chamber. So we're gonna finish this one off, and now I'm gonna take a look at my next move. I can go left or right. I may have got damaged a little bit right there, but that first wave, guys, it can't be not stressed enough how difficult that first wave is with a weak weapon, with the Fates Juggernauts. Very difficult to take them out. Okay, so I had to push these guys away from me, and now I'm gonna this is all you need to do, guys. Just roll as far away as you possibly can and continue to do this move. And it's very powerful too. It doesn't look like it's that powerful, but it deals considerable damage to them. Okay, so you, of course, want as much health as you possibly can. If you're hurting for health here, you're going to have to make a break for the final chest, the final health chest. There's only 2 of them, but I would say if you have it, like if you're absolutely begging for health, like, you know, you have that flashing red part of the health bar at the end when you're really low, I would say make a break for the health chest, activate the Rage of the Titan so no one can interrupt you, and get it. If you have a good enough amount of health, I would say just don't get it right away, because they drop the Cyclops on you really close to the chest, and there's some pieces of the door, some of the locking mechanisms on it. I've got killed to the door a couple of times, clipping on the door, because enemies had grouped around me, and I could not get around the pieces of the door, and getting perma-staggered, and that's horrible. So I don't think the door should have anything on it, at least not during this fight. So anyway, we've got a duplicate of the second wave coming up. He's all finished up. We're gonna get a little health and magic. Having this much health right now was never common, guys. I was always trying to get this next health chest, but fortunately I haven't, you know, I can't ask to do better right now, because that's really good. So make sure you have enough magic too. Again, just you know, stand here. Anyway, so I need to talk about the next wave, because there's 3 Cyclops brutes and then more of each of these guys. So what we're going to be doing is pretty much just letting the Cursed Legionnaires do whatever they need to around us, and then just grabbing these sentries here. Because the sentries are grabbable, and they deal... Oh, I had a glitch right there, so my game was glitching out, so I had to press pause. I had to do an edit right there, if you're curious. So before, like, on the map, you'll see these guys spawning before the Cyclops brutes fall down. So you want to roll back, and it should also be said that when you're doing this square triangle O, like repeatedly pressing O attack, the Fates Juggernauts cannot hit you ever, nor can other Cursed Remains. I'm not sure about if the Cyclopses can hit you. They probably can. They probably can. So here are these guys, and you want to have your Atlas Quake here equipped for any iframes that you need when you're caught into a corner. See those locking mechanisms on that? It's really, really dangerous. So I'm going to hold this guy a little bit until the barrier can come down. It didn't work out. And now we need... See, these guys, the reach of their weapons is incredible. I've got smashed, and I've looked back to the footage, and sometimes nothing hit me. Absolutely nothing hit me. It's exaggerated reach. Now that hit me, I completely fucked up right there. But I made up for it by getting the hell out of the way. And now what I'm going to do is let this guy come up to me, and I'm going to toss him at the brute. And there's one instance up here when I failed a quick time event sequence. Okay, I'm going to get some health. Let's see if... Look what can happen. I think I get trapped. No, I didn't get... What the fuck was that? Like, I was right in front of him, and it did not grab him. Now this guy's circling. I'm clipping. Look, I'm clipping. What the fuck is that? So I'm casting the Quake for iframes. Like, that's so unacceptable. I can't stress it. Getting killed to clipping, man. And then just be careful here, like I was saying, about, ending your swing when the walls are coming up, because it's really dangerous. But this is probably the best method. It's better than using like magic over and over and over again and trying to take them down with weak magic when you can be tossing guys. Like, yeah, okay, so see, just keep tossing these guys. It's so good of a strategy. And of course, if you're in a jam, cast this. I would say like it's the jam get out of like dodge card. Okay, so we killed him. But just watch what happens when I do the QuickTime event for the next... oh, fuck. He put his foot down right behind me. That motherfucker, man. He's taunting a little bit so I can get out of the way. I cast Quake. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. He slammed me down like a baseball, and for some reason it didn't take too much damage away, so that's pretty generous, but man... I was thinking to myself, fuck, I should have pressed start because I fucked those up, man. It happens to the best of us, though. That does, man. But but just imagine me when I was doing this, like, so nervous. It's so nerve-wracking. But I love it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything except the clipping. But yeah, I've come a long way. In 4 years, I've come a long way. I haven't played this game too much, but you should see my other gameplay. It's so sloppy, you guys. I didn't even deserve to win the Loom Chamber, but this one, this took about 7-8 hours. It was pretty brutal. It's difficult, but I like things that are skill-based and not based on luck variables, such as the Protect the Translator section. Anyway... I'm going to hold this guy and throw him. And, oh shit, see? Okay, so we've got a couple of these cursed legionnaires left. And I've got a little bit of magic, so I'm probably going to use the magic in a minute. Yeah. You can also... yeah, you can also throw them if they have the circle button prompt, but okay, so that's a miracle that didn't hit me, and now it's just him and me. But the amount of times I've got killed to these guys is so devastating. And I'm going to use this, and I think that actually finishes them up so I don't have to do that and potentially fail that, but Jesus Christ, you have no idea how stressful that is, guys.